What's up YouTube? This is the Federation here, and I have another Rome 2 battle for you guys. It's going to be a replay battle, and it will be Rome versus Baktria, and you can see our builds here. I've got 2 Armored Legionaries, 4 Cohorts, a Praetorian Guard, 2 Triarii, 3 Syrian Archers, 3 Legionary Cav, a Numidian Cav, and a Legatus, and he has essentially a Pike Corps with 2 Bactrian Royal Guard, 3 Elite Persian Archers, 2 Hellenic Cataphracts, and 2 Bactrian Horse Archers. And so my thinking when creating this build is that the 2 things I were afraid of from Baktria were elephants and pikes. And so for counter elephants, these Syrian Archers are good. And also these Numidian Cav, their main goal was really to deal with elephants. But you'll see they have a different use in this battle. And then as for pikes, I was kind of hoping that just the javelins from the legionary cohorts and then whatever leftover ammunition these archers would have after dealing with elephants would be able to punch me a gap that I could take advantage of. So we'll see how that plays out, since I didn't really bring enough to deal with a good pike corps. But yeah, as I said, we'll see how that plays out. So he's got these 2 Bactrian horse archers, which are incredibly strong units, and I can't just chase with the Legionary Cav because they'll get shredded. I can't really chase with these Numidian Cav because they would also get shredded in melee. If you just compare the melee stats, they're nowhere close. But the advantage they have is that I do 41 missile damage with my javelins, and I have 8 shots per minute. He does 47. Okay, he must be on heavy shot. But he only has 6 shots per minute, and if he was on normal shot, I think it would be... they're probably actually 40 missile damage now that I think about it. But more of this missile damage is going to be armor piercing. And so you'll see these Numidian Cav actually start to rack up quite a few kills, and they cost me 550, while these guys cost him 700. So I just ran out with my Legionary Cav to scare back his Elite Archers, while my Syrian Archers got a few shots in. And so yeah, these Numidian Cav are already quickly racking up the kills. I've lost 21 men and killed 35 of a more expensive unit, and these Horse Archers start to rout. Probably should have chased them and finished off that unit, but I don't. Yeah, it will come back, and that is a little inconvenient later on. You never want to let horse archers be around in late game, especially not with ammunition, as they can be quite a nuisance. But anyways, I'm feeling fairly confident at this point. I've got a line of incredibly powerful infantry, and that's really the problem with Rome in this patch, is just that I have so much infantry, and yet I still have a strong skirmishing corps, and I still have a decent cav force. Not great, but decent, and I'm able to support it with spears. And so this is a very, in my opinion, very hard to counter build. One thing that would have scared me is, say, 4 Scythian horse archers. That would have been hard for a build like this to deal with, especially if you had like a line of several slingers and could beat me in the skirmish engagement, and then could just hold me off with these pikes. I would be a little bit more scared. But right now I'm feeling fairly confident. These Numidian Cav finally went down. They took a good amount with them, 13 from that unit and 38 from that unit. So they killed more than they lost. Nope, my math's bad. They killed 51, lost the full unit. But again, Bactrian Horse Archers are more expensive, and it also kept these guys from picking up my flanks during this entire time. Now they will come back to harass me later in this fight, but for now they kept me away. Or they kept him away from me. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to split into 2 flanks of infantry and then Testudo in the middle of my Praetorian Guard, because they see he's firing at me. And what this means is that he can't just split off into 2 lines. He has to leave at least 1 or 2 holding pikes in the middle. So he's going to go ahead and charge with his Hellenic Cataphracts into my Legionary Cohort. I stopped them just before. Not sure they got a full bracing bonus, but at least they weren't fully moving. I'm going to go into his Bactrian Royal Guard here. They are in Hoplite Wall, but this Legionary Cohort can fix it in place while I have more infantry coming around to deal with it. I'm going to focus fire here on this Thorax Pike, not doing a ton of damage, so I'll change something in just a moment. This Legionary Cohort isn't doing... Oh wait, it was this one that got charged, which actually, it did decently. He's going to just keep trying to move his cataphracts around, and you can't really do that anymore. They severely decreased the mobility of cataphracts, and this isn't effective, especially now that I have it pinned with the Legionary Cav. Yes, he's got a good amount of kills, but they're going to go down pretty quickly at this point. I'm not paying attention here to this Armored Legionary, since I haven't played much. My micro has gone to shit, and so he's going to start getting some frontal kills here. What I do here is I put my archers on heavy shot, move right up close, and this is going to shred the thorax pikes much easier than shooting back here with normal shot. So he's now got a pretty scary cav force here. I did leave a Triarii right here, kind of in anticipation of this cataphract coming around, and I'm letting this armored legionnaire just dispatch some of its javelins into the back of that Bactrian Royal Guard, get some nice kills. I had a cav unit back here that decided to come in and sweep through his archers, and it's actually not going to win. The spears carried by the elite Persian archers are going to be more than my legionary cav can handle. But anyway, here he goes for a charge. Let's get some nice action right here. You can see his cataphracts not doing too well against my Triarii. They're going to hold quite well, especially since I got them into square formation. Over here, the legionary cav are continuing to struggle. You can see almost the entire unit's gone at this point. They start to rout. But my archers have continued to fire. They've shredded their second unit of thorax pikes now. And I'm starting to do quite well. So now his horse archers are going to come in. Not sure if they were out of ammo. I would assume they are if he's doing this, because he's put them both into melee. But he does get out with this Hellenic Cataphract. 30 kills, only 3 losses. He did use Trample, though, and so now it's exhausted. And when Cataphracts are exhausted, they become essentially useless. You need speed to charge, and to get speed, you need stamina. So that's going to work well in my favor. I still have my Legatus, which I'd forgotten about until this point in the battle. So I'm going to use him to go after the elite Persian archers with no cav or infantry to guard them, and him turning his back to me. This is going to actually go quite well. What he should have done is probably stood his ground with these archers, because they do carry spears, and they're quite good in melee, and so if he hadn't had his back turned to me, he might have been able to do some pretty good damage to my Legatus and even win. So anyways, over here he's starting to get me in a reverse noob box, kind of, with his thorax pikes. He's got me nicely lined up along his general, and so he's able to kind of encircle me with pikemen. He takes this one out of pike phalanx, which I assume is just for the increased mobility, but he should have put it right back in once he got in combat. So these archers are now low on ammunition, but I've managed to clean up all of his skirmishing component. And this fight's not going as well as I would have wanted. This cataphract unit, even though it's exhausted, is still getting some pretty decent charges against my relatively fixed forces here. I'm going to throw in this cav unit here, even though it's into a pikeman, just because there's an exposed side and I need the morale penalties. Going to try to route this quickly. With his cataphract's encourage ability, it's going to be a little harder to route this side, but I am going to get into his cataphracts with legionary cav. And so they can either stay and grind out the fight, which they're not going to do terribly well in, or try to pull out, which again is going to cause them some pretty decent losses. He elects to pull out and go for my Syrian archers. Again, not overly concerning to me. I'm still feeling fairly confident, as you can see by the balance bar right now. Battle's over. This archer was actually out of ammunition, so I'm just going to hold the cataphracts in place with that while this one expends the last of its shots. And at this point, army losses do cause my opponent's army to rout. And that is the end. So let's see if it will show us unit statistics. It does. I'd forgotten how that worked with replays. But anyways, just to go over kind of how this battle went, my opponent's mistake came in his army build. He's got these 2 Bactrian Royal Guard, these 4 Thorax Pikemen, 2 Hellenic Cataphracts, 3 Elite Persian Archers, and 2 Bactrian Horse Archers. Now, if he had gotten the Scythian Horse Archers instead of Bactrian Horse Archers, he could have had 4 of them instead of 2. If he'd gone for Persian Light Archers instead of Elite Persian Archers, I believe he could have gotten about 5 for the price of these 3. And if he'd gone with Levy Pikes instead of Thorax Pikes, he would have had a lot more money to spend on, say, Thorax Swordsman or an Elephant unit or something like that that could cause me some fear, do some damage. And also, if he'd gotten rid of, say, this Bactrian Royal Guard, he could have invested in, say, Thurios Spears, which could actually be quite useful against the Romans. Both to fight the Roman cavalry, to counter these Syrian archers even, and then as a javelin force, kind of like a peltist unit. And then also these Hellenic Cataphracts, they're great units, but since the update that makes them a little less mobile, maybe your Bactrian Noble Horse is going to be the way to go. And you could also get about 4 of those for the cost of 2 of these, and that would have easily overpowered these Legionary Cav and still would have posed quite a threat to my infantry. But anyways, it was a good game to my opponent. He played pretty well, and for a while there had me in some doubt. I hope you guys can take some lessons away from the way this went. As you can see, 2 of his pikemen getting no kills at all, and none of his units really being cost effective except this elite Persian archer. But anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time.